Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We have Blair Pyle here with us today, and he is going to be showing us Burgal's Bounty, which is a game that is close, potentially, to release, which is very exciting to always be able to help support. So, tell us just a little bit about your game, what made you decide to develop this? What made you decide to get it so close to being able to publish it? What do you like about it?
Well, it's my game, so of course I like it.
Good.
Burgal's Bounty is a puzzle game where you take on the role of a character named Burgal, who is trying to steal enough money to rescue his girlfriend from the mob. It's got a bunch of logic puzzle type mechanics. If you ever played Choo Choo Rocket in the Sega Dreamcast, there's some mechanics like that. There's there's a real-time element to it, and there's also boss fights. So it's kind of loaded with a bunch of stuff. It's got a little story, like animated cutscenes and everything, and it's got this weird, or actually not weird, but I think it's kind of cool, like hand-drawn, like 3-year-old kid did it all artwork. And the story behind that is the game has a long history behind it. It was released in 2015 on Android, but my artist had given me stolen artwork. So I had to, at that time, I was like, all right, what do? I walk away from this game, and it's like, you know what, I could probably redo the artwork in some weird style in a few months. And it's 2.5 years later, and now I'm just about ready to launch. So it's going to be on iOS and Android on February 15th, unless, of course, I get a publisher and they pick the date.
Right.
And there'll be a follow-up release for Mac and PC shortly after.
Okay, great. So let's just dive right into the gameplay.
All right, so let me pick a puzzle level to start with. Something that actually shows that's not super introductory. Okay, maybe I picked the wrong level. All right, whatever.
Well,
that's okay.
Are good too.
So in this level, so the object of the game is to just get the money bag. Everything else is kind of like a collectathon. You get it if you want it. You don't. It's not required, but if you get it all, you unlock additional stuff. So you place arrows to chart the burglar's path, and once you've placed everything, you swipe them to make them go. So the orange arrows disappear after you hit them a few times. So that's how he ended up going down and getting everything. Let's pick maybe a kind of... Okay, this is the little more challenging level, the level I just made it to because I found a bug while I was waiting here.
Oh, fantastic. No,
where I can't actually unlock everything. So this is a little more of a challenging level where you have to use a lot of the mechanics to get everything. And I know all the puzzles, but when I watch new people play this level, they take some little while.
Of course.
So
I hope that you know your levels relatively well.
Yeah. So then he's bouncing around, getting everything, following the arrows because he's too dumb to do anything else. And if you want to speed him up, he follows the rules. Yeah.
Oh, and you can speed it up. Okay.
Yeah, you can speed it up. So if you're tired of watching him walk around, you can make it go faster.
Has there ever been a level that you've developed and then you realize there isn't really a way to solve it? Or how does your process work to create these levels?
Sometimes the process is I just throw a bunch of stuff on the screen and try and make it work. And sometimes when it doesn't, I have to redesign it. And other times, like, all right, this works, but it's way, way too hard. People get stuck on this forever. So I tweak a little bit. Sometimes I leave a lot of difficulty in there and then come to like expos like this and see, all right, how are people doing this level? And if they can't beat it, then I'm like, okay, you know what, this is just way too hard. So then I tweak it. So this is one of those real-time levels which we were just watching him die on.
Right.
And then so you're placing it while he's moving around.
And you can get rid of
you can remove arrows from the map. And
oh wow,
this level
it's very involved. I love that.
And then once you've placed everything, you can fast forward and watch them go and get everything.
Great.
And the crappy part is because I found that bug, I can't fast forward and skip ahead to a boss fight. But if we got a couple seconds, I can probably get to one really quick.
Okay.
We'll see though.
That's fine. We have plenty of things to talk about. So, is this one of the first games that you've ever developed, or? It
is the first one I'm trying to release commercially. I've been making games since I was a kid, since I was maybe 8 years old. I started making games in QBasic for DOS, I think, yeah.
Wow.
And yeah, and actually a prototype of this game was made back then.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, I tend to make games that I made when I was a kid.
Well, write what you know, make what you know. That's very typical advice. It makes sense.
Yeah, I got to reuse some levels from that game
wonderful.
too. So.
Yeah. So you focus more on making these sort of puzzle-like games? Is that what you enjoy doing, or just what you're comfortable with?
My next game is going to be a JRPG, so totally going from one kind of semi-large-scale project to a totally huge one.
Right.
It'll take me forever to finish, but I would love to, I don't really have a preference on what I make, as long as I tend to make games that I find are fun.
Right.
But I think that's what sort of any indie developer does, but sometimes it's not what makes money, so
sure.
you gotta figure that out and figure out a balance that way too.
So like you said, you try to develop the games that you enjoy playing. What are some of your inspirations, either within or outside of gaming, to start these projects?
So I tend to be really story-driven for games that I like to play. Like that's why I've never really been super into Western-style RPGs, because I like I don't really like the open world. I like stories. I like playing. I like being interacting with the story a lot more, and so I tend to go towards JRPGs, and I like platform games, and I do like puzzle games a lot too. So things that, I don't know, I can really either engage my brain, or if it's a platformer, sometimes just turn my brain off and press the buttons and start platforming.
Okay.
So I made it to a boss fight here now, so we can actually show that.
Okay.
So as I was developing the game and I took it in front of publishers, the very first publisher I said, it's like, they outright rejected it, because like I'm just not really getting pulled into it. So I'm like, oh man, so I like totally panicked. It's like, oh man, does nobody like this game? And so I created like the panic mode, or the real-time mode, so people would actually it could have some different little play mechanic that was, again, more like Choo Choo Rocket. And then I was like, well, if I'm doing this, I'll do boss fights. What the heck? I've been thinking about it for a while. So, and they were like coding a whole new game every time I made a new one. There's four bosses in this game. Oh crap, I just screwed up. And they're a lot of fun to do and play. So, and there's a huge epic explosion when you beat the boss.
Were you using the arrows to shoot back her attacks?
You're redirecting the lightning back at her with the arrows, and then once you beat the boss, you use some other stuff to collect.
Oh, and you have a time limit. Like, you have to think about, like, oh, let's hurry up and get as much as possible.
Yeah, and then once that's up, the level ends, and that's pretty much like story mode there that has all the mechanics. I didn't really show any of the cutscenes, but
well, we have to have some mystery and some reason for people to
here's one. Here's one. He's spending all the money he just stole on a rocket-powered car.
It's cute. I like it.
Okay. I totally got to show the next one if I just show that one.
Okay.
So, yeah. Oh, here we go. So now he's there we go.
Oh
no! He just wasted $100 billion on a rocket-powered car hereafter in a tree. And that's kind of the silly humor this game has. So.
Okay. So what brought you to coming to showcase your game at GaymerX East this year?
Well, I've actually known Matt Kahn for a long time, so we're friends, and I met him when I still lived in San Francisco, and I went to the first two GaymerX's just as an attendee, and then finally, when he knew I was actually working on this game, he said, well, come to GaymerX or GaymerX 3, and that was the first one I showed at, and I showed at 4, and I showed at the first East last year, and then again here. I support like the community and diverse games, and I appreciate that Matt also sort of invited me to come out and be a part of it all. Oh yeah, he's a great, and like I am a gay man too, so it's like maybe I should have mentioned that, but so I am. I guess it is my community too in that regard.
Exactly. But, yeah, it's good to have that. So How will people keep in contact with you? Do you have like a website or a Twitter that you
So
update on?
at Phat Games is my Twitter handle, PhatGames, and Facebook. It's Phat Games on Facebook, and also the website is burgalsbounty.com, burgalsbounty.com, and also the Phat Games website is www.phat.games.
Okay.
That's
Great.
a cool domain name.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. Thank you so much for giving us a bit of your time this weekend and showing us your game and explaining your process a little bit.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course.